Yeah, recently I've been playing the Sherlock Holmes game. It's got a whole bunch of puzzles in the answer book, but basically I was doing the easiest level of puzzles, which is like, I believe it's called, let's see, the easiest level is called elementary, and right now I'm going to try to look at the straightforward cards, which is level 2, and see if I can solve any of those. So let's just give it a shot. Ultimately, if I can solve maybe like half of these, I'll be like so surprised because these are really hard. Even the elementary cards were ridiculously difficult. So we'll just see how it goes. And yeah, if I do well, then that means I can think like Sherlock Holmes. So let's begin. The will. Holmes' assistance was sought in arbitrating a rather difficult bequest. The will was made by a man whose wife was pregnant. He knew he would not live to see the child's arrival, so dictated that if the child was a boy, he would get 2/3 of the estate, and the wife 1/3. If, on the other hand, the child was a girl, the wife was to get 2/3, and the daughter 1/3. How one ranks these matters so clinically is beyond me, but that is not the issue here. However, after he died, his wife gave birth to twins, one male and one female. The question put to Holmes was regarding how to settle the estate in accordance with the wishes of the deceased. Can you see a way? Wait a minute. So, okay. She had twins, one male and one female. So, I would assume that means you're just going to take the conditions for the, if the woman had a boy versus a girl, and then just split the odds in half, and then just divvy out the land like that. So the boy would get 1/3 of the estate, the girl would get 1/6, and the wife would get 1/2. Because that's the way it's laid out. But I feel like that's too easy. These cards, they're never that easy, so I have a feeling it's going to be something like either the boy or the girl takes precedence and just rules out the other side. But I don't know. So, okay, let's see the answer. To unravel this issue, Holmes looked at the apparent intent of the dead man. This was quite clearly that a son should get twice the sum of the widow, who in return should get twice the inheritance of a daughter. Thus, the answer was to divide the estate by sevenths, and to give 1 portion to the girl, 2 to the mother, and 4 to the son. Bruh, see what I'm saying? It's never that easy. So, okay. Okay, it was just a matter of like ratios, but that I was not able to see. So, anyways, next. The fire. Here's a diverting little question for you, Watson. You are trapped in a small, unkempt valley. It is just a few hundred yards in length, less than that in width, and surrounded almost entirely by stern cliffs that defeat your ability to climb. Some blackguard, who means you ill, has lit a fire at the far end, and the prevailing wind is blowing it straight up the valley towards you. Shelter is not an option. There is no source of water. You have only your usual accoutrements: a pocket watch, a pistol, notepad, pencil, pipe, tobacco, and matches. Can you formulate a plan that will prevent you from being roasted alive? Okay, so you're fenced in basically. No chance of climbing or being safe. You just got what you got on you, and you gotta survive. Pocket watch, pistol, notepad, pencil, pipe, tobacco, and matches. Well, isn't that interesting? Maybe, what I'm thinking is you take the notepad and the matches, and you make your own fire, do like a controlled burn, like in a certain radius, so that by the time the big fire blows over toward you, everything is basically raised down to the ground. It's like all dead, so then you're in your own little like cluster of safety. That's my guess. That's the thing. That's a really far out guess. Like, you know, if this is right, I'll be utterly amazed. After I finally conceded that I would probably be burnt, Holmes pointed out the correct course of action was to set another fire, a short way down from the unburnt end. Okay. Because the wind is blowing in a fixed direction, the new conflagration will be driven in the same direction as the current one. In its wake, a new fire will leave burnt ground. As it proceeds, I will be able to follow it onto the charred area. And when the larger flame front arrived, it would be unable to purchase in this space. Thus, I would create for myself an island of safety from the flames anyways. Oh my gosh, sorry, I was right. Holy crap. See, that's the thing. When I saw matches, like at the end, that's the showstopper. So that's like the big deal. That was the entire clue. Cool. So I actually got that one right. Wow. That was kind of impressive. All right. Suffolk. I want to give you some thought on 3 villages in Suffolk, Watson. Although I am taking flagrant liberties with their actual geography, consider Crowfield, Hemmingstone, and Gosbeck. Let us say that Hemmingstone is directly south of Crowford and is connected by a straight road. Gosbeck is off to the east some 12 miles as the Raven flies from the Hemmingstone Crawford Road and closer to Hemmingstone than it is to Crawford. Okay, so we got like a triangle going here. Hemmingstone, it is your intention to travel from Hemmingstone to Crowford, but by a slight mishap, you discover that you have instead taken the route via Gosbeck. The roads are equally straight. On arriving at your destination, you discover that the route you used is 35 miles long. How many extra miles did your route take you? Okay, so all we know is that we've got Hemmingstone directly south of Crowford. So Crowford is up here, Hemmingstone, and then Gosbeck is 12 to the east. So this is my east over here. So this is just triangles. Here, let me get my iPad so I can draw this out. Yeah, you're trying to go to Crowfield, which is on the top. Gosbeck. You're just trying to do that, but you accidentally do that. So that means we've got some shapes here. Pythagorean, perhaps? I don't know. I'll probably just have to give up on this one. It's hard after all. Difficult to ask problems. Alright, let's see what they got. How many extra miles did your route take you? I'll guess 8 extra miles. By the judicious use of Pythagoras' theorem and the observation that the direct line from Gosbeck to the Crowfield Hemmingstone Road cuts the road into a pair of right-angled triangles, the direct line from Gosbeck to the road I should have taken is 12 miles, forming the longer line of the triangle with Crowfield, the shorter end of the line of the triangle with Hemmingstone. The sum of the two hypotenuse is 35. Yeah, I think I said that. And from this is rapidly clear that the distance is 25. Okay, so I was right to do the triangle thing, but I completely got lost after that. So, next one. A mental trial. I was talking to my hypothetical acquaintance Alfie earlier, Holmes said. I declared that this statement appeared to herald another mental test. Indeed, I inquired as to Alfie's age. He, in turn, informed me that in 6 years' time, he would be 1¼ times the age that he was 4 years ago. I suppose you do want to tell me his age. Please do, said Holmes. Okay. Oh, wait, whoa. He in turn informed me that in 6 years' time, he would be 1¼ times the age he was 4 years ago. So it's a 10-year difference. Let's say that he's 40 years old at the original time. 10 years in the future, he'd be 1¼ times older. But that means that was 4 years ago that he was 40. So it means he's 44 now. I'm going to guess 44. He's 44 years old. A mental trial. Alfie is 40. What? His age plus 6 years is equal to 5/4 his age minus 4 years. Oh, did I misunderstand this? That means that in terms of sheer values, the 4 times his age puts plus 24 is equal to 5 times his age minus 16. That's 16 each side. Okay, it's just a bunch of algebra. He's 40 years old. RIP. Okay. So it looks like I misunderstood that problem. That's a shame. Oh well. Next question. Davy. Holmes put his paper down and looked over to me one morning. You've seen a Davy lamp, I assume. Those things miners use to prevent explosions, I believe. Basically an oil lamp surrounded by a fine wire mesh. That's the one, Holmes said. They're popular because they won't cause an explosion when brought into contact with fire damp. The ill-educated sometimes believe that the reason for this is that the mesh is too fine for the gas to get through, which is of course nonsense. But can you divine the actual reason? Ooh, I feel like that's a typo. Can you devise the actual reason? Okay. So it's basically a lamp, an oil lamp with a fine wire mesh that doesn't explode when brought into contact with fire damp. I don't know what fire damp is, but it's probably, if I had to guess, it's some sort of thing that if you drop a spark onto it, it's just going to blow up. And so the mesh is supposed to keep the embers in. That's my best guess right there. Let's see, page 39. The Davy. In fact, the fact of the matter is that the fine mesh disrupts the flames too much to permit them to escape its confines. The holes in the mesh are too narrow to allow it to propagate without losing all cohesion. It is vital to maintain the mesh in perfect working order, however, even one broken link may be enough to spoil the effect. So I think I was sort of onto it. The holes in the mesh are too narrow to allow it to propagate without losing all cohesion. Yeah, I don't know. I can't picture that in my head, but whatever. That's fine. Okay. Drifts. One snowy morning in January, Holmes paused in the street to bring a curious fact to my attention. Strong winds had driven the snow into drifts along the side of the pavement, but as he pointed out, there was a proportionately far greater deposit of snow against the side of the nearby telegraph pole than there were against the side of the house, which lay some dozen or so yards beyond it. It would have seemed to me that the opposite really ought to have been the case, but after a little thought I was able to demonstrate to Holmes that I could fathom the answer to his satisfaction. What was it? So, winds blow the snow along the pavement. There was more snow against the side of a nearby telegraph pole than there was against the side of a house. If it's literally stuck to the side of the pole versus the house, I'd imagine that's got to do something with having a cylindrical shape versus a flat shape, in that being able to help like the snow stick better. But otherwise, I don't really know. This is a weird problem. The answer lay in the passage of wind. A large flat surface, such as the side of a house, is going to divert the wind quite considerably. It has to break quite some distance before the house in order to flow around it, but this prevents a reasonable percentage of the snow from being flung against it. This is not the case with something small and rounded as the telegraph pole, so the pole gets proportionally more snow driven onto it. Okay, so that we're talking about stuck straight to the side of the pole and the house. In which case, yeah, I guess that makes some sense. So it's blowing less snow into contact with the house. It's interesting. A curiosity. I was engaged in the perusal of an entertaining volume when Holmes startled me somewhat by suddenly pushing my book down. Tell me, my dear Watson, by what part does 4/4 exceed 3/4? A fourth, I replied irritably. Holmes looked at me quizzically. Really? What part does 4/4 exceed 3/4? A third. if they're doing that, a third. But if they want like a decimal, if you're going to go from 4/4 to, or, oh wait, they're going backwards. Never mind. 4/4 exceed 3/4. Okay, so if we make, oh yeah, so a third. Because 3/3, 4/3 is to 3/3. There's one difference. Or 1/3 is different. Okay, I'm just going to stop rambling. I'm pretty sure it's 1/3. Unless if they're totally conning me and Watson is right the whole time. But that'd be really insane. Of course, it does nothing of the sort. If you have 3/4, then a fourth is 1/3 of that amount, not a quarter. What? A fourth is 1/3. Yeah, it's 1/3. Okay, sweet. So that was just some basic math right there. If Watson didn't guess and get it wrong, then I would have probably gotten it wrong as well. A literal oddity. Yeah, these questions are hard. The literal oddities. I don't get those very often. Consider the humble goat grass, Watson. Holmes was pacing back and forth in a thoughtful manner, and these were his first words for some time. I looked at him curiously. Aegilops is the genus. Bears a striking similarity to winter wheat, or if Aegilops isn't your fancy, then how about billowy or ghostly? For what? For that matter, let us not forget spoon feed. The penny dropped. One of your word plays. English is a marvelously eccentric language, Holmes said, by the way of agreement. What is curious about the words he mentioned? Goat grass. Goat grass. Aegilops. Billowy or ghostly. Sometimes the picture gives a hint. Nope, not this time. I was gonna say 3 syllables, except ghosty isn't 3 syllables. I have no clue. I'm just gonna look for an answer. The words in question all have their letters arranged in alphabetical order, or in the case of spoon feed, reverse alphabetical order. You kidding me? As a point of interest, Aegilops is the longest such English word in the usual direction, and spoon feed is the longest backward. Wow. They're in alphabetical order. That's ridiculous. I would not have got that. Yeah, those ones are ridiculous. Like, I remember another one was like, it was some word that was like, had all letters between A and G, and they're like, you could play it on an instrument. It's like, bruh, I don't know that. I'm not gonna guess that. Alright, Albie. It is like this, Mr. Holmes, said the redoubtable Miss Hudson one morning. My cousin Albie works at the Millwall Iron Works. He's a supervisor, as it happens. Every morning at 8 o'clock sharp, he makes his way down the stairs. When he gets to his destination a little afterwards, he brews himself a cup of tea, then settles down with the morning papers. There is a boy who sells them just on the corner by the main gate of the works. I know that for a fact that he hardly manages to get halfway through the paper before he's sound asleep, and then he remains flat out for the next 8 hours. Judgment Day itself would have hard timing walking over our Albie. Yet even so, management are very happy with his performance and the amount of work he puts in. How do you think that can be? So he's at a Millwall Ironworks. Ironworks. 8 o'clock in the morning, he goes down and sleeps till... Oh, sorry, Murph whistled. He sleeps for 8 hours, so that means he's going to wake up at 4 p.m. What happens at steel mills at 4 p.m.? I don't bloody know. He sleeps, I don't know. At first I was going to say, oh, he takes the night shift or like an afternoon shift. But that doesn't make sense because he's a supervisor, so it's not like he's working like on the mill, the iron mill. What does a supervisor do iron mill at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I don't know. Maybe he just checks on people as they like clock out or something, and it's too early to clock out before 4 p.m. Who knows? Also, that was a weird thing that they mentioned about the tea or the coffee. Cup of tea. I don't know. Is this answer 34? Let's see. Albie. Holmes considered the matter carefully for a moment. It is clear that your cousin is an exemplary employee, so obviously he is not at work during the daytime, his daytime rest. I assume, therefore, that he works a night shift and lives in a converted cellar or some similar basement abode that he has to walk down to get into. Huh. Miss Hudson agreed, genuinely delighted to have a riddle seen through so swiftly. Okay, so he works a night shift. Shit, so I was right. Wow, okay. Cool. Water into wine. Here's a little question for you, Watson. I indicated my readiness to engage my brain. I take 2 wine glasses, one twice the size of the other. I fill the smaller halfway and the larger just to 1/3. Then I fill the remaining space in both glasses with water. I'm glad this is a theoretical issue, I noted. Then I pour both glasses into a previously emptied pitcher. Holmes continued. Can you tell me what proportion of the resulting liquid is wine? Okay, here we go. So we have 2 glasses. One twice the size of the other. So big one, small one. If I fill the smaller halfway and the larger just to 1/3, smaller halfway, so 0.5 and 0.3 and 0.33. So one half, 1/3. Theoretical issue. Okay. Pour both glasses into a previously empty pitcher. Can you tell me the proportion of the resulting liquid is wine? Oh, so this is like chemistry, like molarity and molality and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure this is molarity. So I'm pretty sure you just multiply molarity by volume. So 2 times 1/3 is 2/3. And then I think we add 1 volume times half, 0.5. So 2/3 plus 0.5. 1 1/6. 1 1/6. Oh, that's how much wine there is, but in 3, 1 1/6 over 3. Okay, so 7/6 divided by 3. 7/6 divided by 3. Yeah, it's going to be, oh, whoops. It's going to be 7/18. I think 7/18, that's the actual answer. 7/18 wine. Water into wine. Consider the first large glass. It contributes 1/3 the size of its size to wine, 2/3 to water. Smaller glass equal to half the large one and contributes an effective quarter glass of wine and a quarter glass of water. Therefore, we have 1/3 plus a quarter of wine and 2/3 plus a quarter of water. Multiply these values. Blah, 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 blah. We ended totally in 18ths rather than 12ths. We convert, wait, I said what? 7/18? I think I said 7/18. This says 11/18. Damn. Alright, well, got the denominator right, but nothing else. I'll do one more. Okay, the signpost. Imagine that we are out in the wilds of the countryside, Watson, somewhere reasonably unfamiliar to you. We departed the hamlet of Mercaston at the same time, and we made our separate ways into Ravensdale Park. We are to meet in the village of Muggington. Once I've had a look at the Halter Devil Chapel. You know that the local paths will guide you between the two, but otherwise you are utterly unclear as to where Muggington actually lies. You are walking along a path when you come to a five-fold junction, there's a signpost which shows which village lies along which path, but to your dismay, it has been blown over and you have no idea which of the four options might carry you to Muggington. Could you find your answer? It depends what kind of sign we're looking at, I think. Maybe you could tell by like which way, by like if there's like an impression on the grass or the ground, like depending. Maybe you could see what like which way the sign fell over, or maybe it casts a shadow on the ground and like, you know, kind of stop the grass from growing down there. But otherwise, I'm not totally sure. Yeah, maybe you just look at like the wood. If it's made out of wood, you just look at like the splinters, try to see if you can line them up, and like that'll show you where it's supposed to be. I don't know. There's probably a lot of ways you could try to figure this out, but who knows if I got the right one. All right, the signpost. The matter is exceedingly simple, Holmes said. You have only to pick up the signpost and point, the Mercaston sign in the direction which you have just come from. Then all the other signs will of necessity fall into their customary positions, and you will easily discern the correct path to your destination. Bruh, here I am trying to look at like impressions in grass, and it's just point to where you know you were. Okay, cool. Also, yeah, there is a picture here on the back. I should have looked at that. Okay, so once again, my GoPro ran out of battery, but basically that's the end of the video. I hope to catch you in another video. Peace.